So in this video, I wanted to go over how I first started sharing the gospel in my writing. In a previous video, I referenced figuring out what my writing purpose was and that the primary purpose for my writing is to share the gospel. This was after getting the question, what is your purpose in writing? God was like, sharing the gospel is your purpose in writing. I was like, okay. I don't know what that means, but okay. This was 7 years ago, so it's been a little bit. I sat down to write a gospel scene. I started writing. It was between two sisters, an older one and a younger one, and they were in a garden. It was very much question, answered question, another question, give an answer, here's a verse. There was no tension, there was no character development happening. It was just very dry. How your writing is like your baby, so, and, when mom has a baby, even if it's an ugly baby, the mom still thinks it's a cute baby, This was so bad, it was like, no, I have an ugly baby, and I know it. It was bad. Very, very bad. So after writing it and rereading it and being like, oh, this is really bad, I just threw it out because there was no hope for it. So afterwards, I was like, okay, well, God, you wanted me to write a gospel scene. I did, and I failed miserably. And it was like he was waiting for me to ask. I should have asked before I started writing, but for some reason I didn't think about that. It was just like, oh, God gave me something to do. Now I'm going to go do it on my own. Galatians 3, where it talks about that. It's like, you foolish people. After receiving the Spirit, why are you trying to do this now on your own effort? After you got a goal, why are you now trying to do it on your own? That was me. That was very much me. But afterward, it was like he was waiting for me to ask him. He had me swap a couple things around. So I had the two sisters, and he was like, okay, well, take these out and switch in these characters. Instead of this setting, use this setting. And I just looked at it like, that's all possible? Instead of being two sisters in a quiet little garden, it turned into two guys in a courtyard fighting a duel and one trying to kill the other one. So much fun. So that scene is now the climax of my second book. So I have originally, 7 years ago, started writing this book, and it was originally a novel, and now the story's stretched into probably a trilogy. So where that gospel scene falls is now the climax of book 2. Since then, I've written another gospel scene, and that's the catalyst for the climax in book 1, which I can explain that in another video. But working for many years now with the gospel in my writing, it's surprised me in a lot of ways. Originally, when I started out, I was like, oh yeah, I'm kind of doing God a favor by putting the gospel in my writing. And I was like, oh my gosh, what was I thinking? Because the gospel really helps to strengthen your story, and it helps with character development. It really helps with attention. That was how my initial gospel scene went. Me working on it by myself and then realizing, yeah, I should probably ask God's advice. Since he told me to put it in, maybe I should ask him how I should do that. If you're not sure what your purpose is in writing, I would encourage you to pray about it, and potentially maybe God wants you to also share the gospel in your writing. If so, then I hope this was an encouragement to you that we don't always get it right the first time, but to also ask God for help. If he's told you to do something, most likely he wants to help you get through it because it's probably bigger than you are. So I hope this is encouragement to you in your writing and in your maybe incorporating your Christian life into your writing.